Hello, everyone, and welcome to the City of Atlanta's virtual public meeting for ActivateATL, our Parks and Recreation 10-year planning campaign that will guide the growth and improvement of our parks and recreation system. Thank you so much for joining us here today. We really appreciate your time. We'll wait here just a few minutes before starting so everybody can get a chance to connect. So stay tuned.
We are now live on Facebook.
Is Tara muted, or I can't hear anything?
I was.
Okay.
Welcome to the City of Atlanta's virtual public meeting for ActivateATL, our Parks and Recreation 10-year planning campaign. Thanks so much for joining us here. We'll get started here in just a few minutes, so stay tuned. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. You are with us for the City of Atlanta's virtual public meeting for ActivateATL, the city's and the Parks and Recreation 10-year planning campaign. We'll get started here shortly, and thank you for joining us. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the City of Atlanta's virtual public meeting for ActivateATL, our Parks and Recreation 10-year planning campaign. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Tara Buckner, Master Plan Project Manager from the Department of Parks and Recreation. I'm excited to be here today with Kristen Cabron of GAI Consulting, our project manager on the consultant side, Sabina Kasimova, our colleague at Park Pride, and from the Department of Parks and Recreation, Deputy Commissioner Alvin Dodson, and our Commissioner, John Dargle, who is joining us now. Commissioner?
Hi, thanks, Tara. Welcome to ATL, Activate ATL, Recreation and Parks for All. We're so glad you're here today, and we're grateful for your time and input as we recognize that our success depends on innovation and collaboration. Today, as we are here to talk about Activate ATL, the City of Atlanta's comprehensive Parks and Recreation master planning effort that will guide the growth and improvement of Atlanta's parks and recreation system over the next 10 years. We intend for Activate ATL to reflect all of our shared objectives to elevate Atlanta as a world-class destination for parks, nature, and recreational services. A key component of our parks and recreation today and in the future, as the city continues to grow, is about the strategies that we set up. And we will be stopping at various points along the way to gather your feedback with live polling. Your participation input today is essential in order to ensure that these strategies accurately reflect your priorities. With that, I'll pass it over to Sabina to get started today.
Thank you, Commissioner Dargle. Hello, good morning, everyone, and thank you again for your invaluable participation today. My name is Sabina Kasimova, and I am the Public Engagement Specialist working on Activate ATL. Let's cover some quick housekeeping now before we dive into the presentation. So first, we will start off with a quick overview of what Activate ATL is and what we've learned so far. And then we'll move into how we're going to respond to what we've learned and share with you our new mission, vision, guiding principles, and those strategies mentioned before. We will open up the live polling to ask for your feedback along the way. Today, we are using Poll Everywhere, so we will be able to see all of your comments appear on the screen in real time. And don't worry, there is no need to download anything. You can send in your comments via text message or by using your internet browser at pollev.com. So be sure to stay tuned for those details. And afterwards, we'll end on next steps and share with you an interactive equity dashboard tool that will support efforts of the department to grow and invest equitably.
Thank you.
We've also set aside part of the workshop for a live Q&A session with Commissioner Dargle and the project team. So please send us all of your questions about Activate ATL throughout the presentation. We don't just want folks to answer our questions, but we want to answer yours too. You can ask us anything. For example, what is a master plan? When will this plan be completed? What will you do with my feedback? And so on. We are streaming on a few different platforms today. We're on Zoom, we're live on the Department of Parks and Recreation Facebook page, and we're also streaming directly on our project website, activate-atl.com. If you are watching on Facebook Live, please send us any questions by commenting on the Facebook Live video to the right of the screen. If you're watching on the Activate ATL website, please email any questions or comments to us at activate-atl@atlantagA.gov. We've sent out this email address in the chat box. And if you are using Zoom, please note that your lines are muted, but however, that doesn't mean we can't interact in real time. So please take a look at the buttons on the bottom of the Zoom screen for the Q&A box and the chat box. If you want to ask us a question, click the Q&A button, type in your question, and click send. If you want to chat with us directly, send us a message in the chat box and we will respond. Listening to everyone will build a better parks and recreation system over the next 10 years. And now we want to share some comments we heard from the community about engaging in Activate ATL by watching a short video that we will pull up here now.
My name is Brian Jenkins, and welcome to Jenny Drake Park. What I love about Parks and Trails is the peacefulness, the tranquility. It's analog. I can slow down all of the stimulus and just hone in and focus on me. An opportunity to just relax my mind and be peaceful.
Rec centers because it's free fun and I come here with my friends to play basketball.
My favorite activity to do at a park is play with my dog and throw the frisbee.
I am a big runner and I love being active, getting outside, running a lot. So I would say really expanding our running trail network. That's something I would love to see in our parks.
Hi, I'm Malika.
Hi, I'm Molly.
And we're at the Morningside Nature Preserve. I think the glass half full part of the pandemic is it has given us time to kind of think out of what we usually would do, like going to Six Flags or to a water park, and take advantage of the great parks that the city of Atlanta has. There's a lot more than we even realized.
Basically, it just helps me get out the house and do something else for a change, because before we didn't really have time to do this, so it's kind of new for us, but it's fun.
I love Parks and Trails because it's a great way to get around town, have fun outside. There's plenty to see and do.
Join me to activate ATL.
Join me to activate ATL.
Join us to activate ATL.
Thank you, Sabina. Activate ATL. Well, I really love seeing how Parks and Recreation, our system here, makes a difference in everyone's lives. So why is the city undertaking a master plan? Well, Atlanta is experiencing unprecedented growth and is projected to double in population over the next 10 to 20 years. Our Parks and Recreation system must keep up with residents' needs, from improving maintenance in existing facilities to adding recreational programming, and from connecting trails, greenways, and nature preserves to biking and walking trails, and of course, connections to the incredible Beltline. All of this is essential to maintaining our quality of life and how we enjoy the services that Parks and Rec provide. In addition to keeping up with the growth, this plan is also happening now because Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms supports the Trust for Public Lands 10-minute walk pledge, further endorsing the vision that everyone deserves a park or open space within a 10-minute walk of home. Currently, just 71% of Atlantans live within a 10-minute walk to a park. So you can see that there's some work to be done over the next 10 years, but we've also done a lot of work. Additionally, Atlanta is ranked 42nd out of 100 on the Trust for Public Lands Park Score. Strategies laid out in Activate ATL will help the city to climb in the ranks by addressing park acreage, investment, amenities, and access. Finally, this plan will help the city to maintain CAPRA accreditation, a national process through which parks and recreation agencies demonstrate that they meet certain standards of quality of programs, services, and facilities. There are only 168 accredited agencies in the United States. That represents 1% of all parks and recreation systems nationwide, and Atlanta is proud to be one. As part of improving our park score, and maintaining our CAPRA accreditation, we have entered the Parks Master Planning process, which we've called ActivateATL. I'll pass it back to Sabina to talk some more about our approach to ActivateATL.
Thank you, Tara. This slide details the approach that the project team has used to come up with the ActivateATL plan. The first step in the planning process is to figure out where the system is now and to set a baseline of quality in services and facilities, or to determine the existing conditions. Last summer, the project team visited many parks and recreation centers across the city to evaluate their condition. They also reviewed existing plans and those of other city agencies to ensure that ActivateATL is aligned with what is happening in other departments. And we also came to you to learn more about your needs and priorities. Some of you may have even participated in that first round of virtual public meetings. Currently, we are now beginning to finalize a long-range vision, which will include not only strategies and actions, but also implementation and funding proposals. And this is the draft vision that you'll see today. We hope you will sign up for our monthly e-newsletter at activate-atl.com to stay updated with all the new planning developments along the way. And now let's talk some more about how we gathered your community input last summer. The first round of public engagement was a success, and it was one of the most inclusive engagement efforts that the City of Atlanta has ever undertaken. And it's actually already being used as a model for public engagement in other planning efforts across the country, which is very exciting. During this phase, the public was asked what they love about Atlanta's parks and recreation and what they wanted to see improve. You can see on the slide here the different strategies that were used to reach people and collect their input, and this is not even the most complete list. So all in all, we received over 10,000 pieces of public input where the community shared what they wanted to see happen with parks and recreation. So now let's talk about some of the findings that came out of this first phase of public engagement. These findings represent the needs and priorities that people identified for our parks and recreation system. So I'll pass it on to our project manager from the consultant side, Kristen Caborn, so she can introduce herself and talk about what we've learned to date.
Thanks, Sabina. Good morning, everyone. My name is Kristen Caborn. I am the Director of Park Planning at GAI Consultants, and I'm so excited to be here with you this morning because I get to talk about what have we taken away from all this input and analysis that we've been working on for the past year. This is where the rubber meets the road, and this is what's really exciting with talking about the overarching themes that have bubbled to the top. So parks are essential services. First, Atlantans love going to their parks, now more than ever. 84% of respondents to our statistically valid survey said that they had used a park and recreation facility in the last year. For comparison, the national average is just 77%, and that really speaks to the quality of the parks that Atlanta provides its community. This strongly suggests that Atlantans feel that parks and recreation provide essential services. It's part of the fabric of your community. We can see Atlantans truly value their parks and love going to them. Throughout this pandemic, many of the parks and recreation staff have continued to provide essential services, and this includes the Office of Parks. The team has not missed a beat with a 10-day mowing schedule, 7-day garbage pickup, and staying on top of other operations, including litter removal, HVAC and roofing, trimming, and much more. These are the things that make you feel more comfortable and parks more inviting to the public. This is also the team that houses the Division of Forestry and Arborists, and we are able to see just how crucial their skill set was amidst Hurricane Zeta last year that brought over 500 incidents, which were cleared within just 2 weeks. Second, this slide shows the 4 park maintenance districts and the responses when public meeting attendees were asked how they would rate the physical condition of their parks. The park maintenance district are roughly aligned into 4 quadrants in the city. Addressing the quality of parks and recreation system and ensuring Atlantans are served equitably will be a top priority for the department. In order to achieve this, we need to increase parks maintenance resources to ensure that established maintenance standards are achieved. Maintenance standards are what brings you back to parks because you feel safe and have fun while you're there. Also, when considering that 28% of Atlanta adults reported inactivity in the last month, the department wants to ensure that they're doing all they can to provide a space for Atlantans to enjoy outdoor physical activity. We're so blessed with, besides today, great weather year round that we want to make sure that we provide the great facilities to be able to be outside. Therefore, maintenance and priorities and improvements are a top priority. Third, 90% of respondents to this statistically valid survey said they were either supportive or somewhat supportive of improving or upgrading their parks. Interestingly, we asked people how would they spend $100 if they had it in their pocket and had to go to Parks and Recreation, and most money was spent on improving the existing system. Fourth, we heard that residents want more programs. Those shown here are the top priority programs and activities that want to see more of. Health and wellness, cooking, nutrition, movies in the park really was something that was important. Getting out in nature, having the opportunity to be active. And really, what we find most interesting is that many of these have to do with overall health and wellness, not just physical health and wellness, but also mental health and wellness. A very important role of Parks and Recreation. Fifth, Atlantans want more facilities and amenities that prioritize access to nature. Parks play a huge role in getting us outside, which is something I know we can all relate to with the pandemic, and we were trapped by our own four walls for quite some time. Sixth, 64% of residents surveyed actually said they didn't know what is happening with Parks and Recreation programs or how to access them. Looking at how we can improve communication to the city as a whole from the Department of Parks and Recreation is therefore going to be key moving forward in implementing this plan. And finally, if you can believe it, it's been projected that Atlanta will grow by over 400,000 residents in the next 10 to 20 years. Currently, we have 5,713 acres of parkland. If the population growth projections are correct, the Department of Parks and Recreation would need to acquire 5,000 more acres of parkland to provide the same amount of green space per 1,000 people that is provided now. So we're looking at almost doubling the size of the park system. With more parkland comes the needs for more dollars to maintain and operate those parks. Operational expenditures per acre of parkland in Atlanta is currently $7,715, which is half of what top cities invest per acre. These are public dollars and do not include any philanthropy or private investment with it, which is something that Atlanta is very lucky to have high levels of in the community with philanthropic organizations and partners. We need a corresponding increase in funding to move and improve and maintain the park system as it grows. Okay, we know that was a lot of information. So let's stop here and reflect on everything we've heard so far. Don't forget, if you have questions, please send them our way in the Zoom Q&A box, Facebook, or email them to activate-atl@atlantag.gov. Again, that email address is in the chat box. We'll address them during our live Q&A session happening soon. We'll open up the presentation for your comments and feedback on all these findings and the needs assessment. We're not going to spend the entire morning just talking to you. We are really excited to bring back our very popular polling from our first round of public input. So everybody, please get your phones and computers ready. You can participate in the live polling by sending a text message to 22333. Or by visiting PollEV, which stands for Poll Everywhere, pollev.com/ActivateATL096 from any web browser. And don't worry, as we said at the beginning, you do not have to download anything. Simply open up your internet browser on any device right now and head to pollev.com/ActivateATL096. All of our questions will sync here automatically, so all you do is respond with one tap. If you prefer to respond by texting, please start a new text message. Even if you participated in the past, go ahead and just start from scratch. Enter 2233 in the to line and write ActivateATL096 in the body of the text. You only need to send this once to start polling. You'll get an automated response. After you send this one text to start the conversation, you simply text in your answer each time you see us move to a new question. You won't receive a confirmation text after each response, but rest assured that your answers have been received, and you'll be able to watch them pop up live on the presentation. Answers will populate for us in real time. We'll review the live polling responses as they come in live to see if we can find any trends, which is really fun for us to look for. So now we want to hear from you. Our first polling question of the morning is going to be, what do you think? Did these findings from the needs assessment accurately capture the current state of the Parks and Recreation system and your personal priorities for improvement? We'll see your comments roll in live so we can read through them all together. Thank you again for your invaluable participation today. Not surprising, okay? That could be good. That could mean that we're beginning to get consistency. Yes, the Parks Department needs more funding. For Atlanta to be a world-class system, they need to start spending the money that can put them up there with the other world-class systems. How many more acres will Atlanta need to acquire to keep up with growth? Right now, that's looking like for the 10 to 20 year projections, that would be the 5,000 acres that we talked about a little bit earlier. Love the access to nature, more urban, need to grow and make golf more accessible, maybe through reconfiguring existing course, and to introduce a short course for juniors. Yes, that is really important. Golf can be a lifelong sport, and getting kids involved can be really important. How much more funding is needed? We will get back to you on that. That is going to be one of those questions that we hope to answer as we reach the completion of this project this summer. We need to buy acreage now before even doing the soft and hardscaping. Yep, it is important to begin to look for where there could be future gaps in acreage available and start to acquire that land now. Where will the Parks Department find land? That's going to be something that we're going to be working with them. We use some high-tech mapping to look at that. There's obviously no intent to ever take land. It's land that's out there and it's available. So those will be areas that we'll look geographically across the whole city, and of course make sure that the Parks Department is equitable. That's one thing that we're going to talk about a little bit further in the presentation. How important it is for the Parks and Recreation Department to provide equitable, meaning everybody has the same access to the same level of quality facilities, no matter where they live in the city. Atlantans can make better usage of existing streets as outdoor spaces and trails. Pollinator safe maintenance management should be a priority too. Yes, of course, that's really important. Bees and birds to help spread and keep the native population of flora and fauna up is great. Yes, thank you. How much of an emphasis is there on connections to the Chattahoochee River? The Chattahoochee River is a very important corridor in Atlanta, and being able to get people safely connected to it to enjoy that nature is something that we are absolutely taking into consideration. Safe cycling, protected lanes or off street, absolutely. Moving to have bicycles safe from not only vehicles, but also the bicycles and pedestrian potential conflicts as well. Well, let's keep the discussion going at this point. I'm going to pass it on to Commissioner Dargle to talk about how we are going to address these findings. Commissioner Dargle.
Thank you, Kristen. So, what are we going to do about this? We are going to activate ATL. The next series of slides talks about the mission, vision, guiding principles, and strategy of the ActivateATL Comprehensive Parks and Recreation Master Plan. These have been developed in collaboration with stakeholders, with different departments of the city, with staff, all based on the existing conditions analysis that we just reviewed. The mission is to provide equitable access to outstanding recreational, natural, and cultural experiences that enhances the health and well-being of all, with an emphasis on equitable access that is consistent with Mayor Bottoms' vision of One Atlanta. The vision is to make recreation and parks the heart and soul of Atlanta through a diverse yet seamless and interconnected system of parks, recreation, and natural. The department will also use these guiding principles as a barometer for making decisions and identifying priorities over the next 10 years. The guiding principles are to provide plentiful and diverse experiences, to ensure equitable and inclusive practices, to cultivate stewardship, to offer safe, equitable, and seamless access and connectivity, to maximize awareness of the recreation and park system, to optimize current use of facilities and services, to foster partnerships, promote health and wellness, and to monitor, evaluate, and prioritize our investments. The next series of slides focus on the strategies on which ActivateATL is based. These are the strategies that are going to address the needs and challenges that were identified and that we talked about at the beginning of the presentation. These strategies are centered around equitable investment, equitable connection, and equitable growth through programs, places, and people. Let's dig into each one of these one by one. First, we'll look at equitably investing in programs. Over the next 10 years, the Department of Parks and Recreation will prioritize investment in these 10 core programs that you see on the screen now. These programs were identified based on the community input, demographics, and trends from the data. Let's discuss. Is there any core programs area that we're missing that you'd like to see us invest in? Again, the 10 core programs we just listed are after school, golf, aquatics, tennis, adult activities, senior programs, camp best friends, special events, youth athletics, and therapeutic services. I see that we're already getting some responses. First one is pickleball. And how do you feel about recreation services in general? Send us your thoughts on this now. You can see the details for participating in the live polling at the top of this slide. Rock climbing, volleyball, aquatics, how do you feel about recreation services in general? Oh, here's another one, African dance, walking trails, the arts, dance, urban farming, natural play, introductory classes, guided nature walks, mountain biking, swimming, aquatics, hiking, a lot of great activities. Golf, yes, one of our 10 core programs. Career and housing services. Could definitely use the help of other agencies to assist us in that. Yoga, forestry, golf and mountain biking again. All right, let's move on with the other approaches. Equitably investing in places. Thanks again for sharing with us. This information is exactly what we need to hear. In addition to equitably investing in programs, The department will also equitably invest in places. This means improving parks and recreation centers that need improvement as capacity and funding becomes available. We heard you loud and clear. We need to invest in existing neighborhood parks that need improvements. That's our first priority. Some of the photos here are improvements that Parks and Recreation has made, which are done in collaboration with other city departments, as well as friends of the park groups and nonprofits, illustrating the importance of partnerships and collaboration to achieve more than what's possibly working alone. Example of investments the department would like to make may include replacing a certain number of playgrounds per year, installing synthetic turf fields, roof replacements, trail and greenway master planning, addressing safety and security concerns by adding cameras and lights, or working with the Department of Transportation to connect trails and sidewalks. These are just some of the examples of how investment in places can be fulfilled. While we're thinking about investment in places, I'd like to open up another polling question to ask if there are any specific improvements you want to see at your favorite park or recreation center. This is an opportunity for open discussion, so please share with us. Does anything come to mind? Creation of a rec center in Northwest. Do you want to see more cameras or security lighting at your favorite park? Maybe something that you like to see at the rec center. Safety kiosks for hikers. More recycling bins. Tell us your thoughts. Tire and trash cleanups. Awesome. I've noticed many tennis courts are looking refreshed recently. They look great. Thank you very much. We've taken over responsibility of those this past August. Replace playground equipment. Definitely more lighting. More use of leaf blowers. A nice studio for barefoot dancing. Thank you for this great feedback. Phoenix 2, park safety. Security cameras in parking lots. Compost centers so residents can pick up compost. Home Park could use a fitness track. Okay. Nice. Your input on these points is especially critical as we begin to develop the capital improvements funding and implementation plan. Splash pad maintenance, good. Ooh, love the compost drop-off, okay. Seconded on the compost drop-off. More weight benches. Awesome. Trail signage. Okay, well, with that, I'll now pass it to Tara Buckner to share some information about our new Happy Feet app. Tara? I think you're on mute.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Okay.
I want to take this opportunity to tell everyone about our Happy Feet app. It's the Department of Parks and Recreation's system to use for site-specific feedback. It's a free download in the App Store or iOS and Android, and it's called Happy Feet Atlanta Parks. Once you download, you can select your park, type your feedback in, upload a photo or video, and the project team will receive your comments. It can be about anything, a specific bench, playground equipment, anything in need of repair or maintenance. Please tell us all the things we're doing right, as well as the challenges that we may have. We definitely would like to hear also about any positive interaction you've had with our staff. Before we jump into the presentation, again, we want to share another quick reminder for you to send us your questions via the Zoom Q&A or Facebook, or email them to us at activate-atl@atlantagA.gov. We will address them in our live Q&A session happening very soon. So now let's continue to discuss the strategies at the center of ActivateATL. Atlanta is continuing to diversify, and we want to make sure that our parks and recreation system and staff and centers to provide welcoming experiences with programs that are well received for everyone. The department also plans to provide ongoing training for staff in the areas of customer service and diversity, equity, and inclusion to improve residents' experiences as they interact with staff at recreation centers or with any member of the department. We also want to invest in our staff by providing professional development opportunities to earn advanced certifications. We also need to make sure that we have adequate resources to improve maintenance across the system. This includes a variety of strategies such as increasing park maintenance staffing and resources, and collaborating more closely with our partners to maintain parks. Now, moving into our next core pillar. We've equitably invested, and now we want to ensure that we have an equitably connected system. This involves not only focusing on staff, but also on whether our programs connect with communities and fulfill their needs. We also want to talk about designing recreation centers and facilities so that they're multi-purpose, multifunctional, and multi-generational. And we're looking at how to expand marketing and outreach to connect with more people, because we've learned that people don't know what programs are offered or how to access them. Ideas include not just investing in traditional marketing and communications efforts, but also involving local neighborhood groups to gather input on program needs and developing partnerships with local organizations to reach more constituents. We also want to equitably connect places. One of the primary goals of this plan, as I mentioned earlier, is to fulfill the mayor's support for the 10-minute walk pledge. The department also aims to collaborate with partners to provide more equitable access to facilities, whether it's working with MARTA to increase transit access to larger facilities and regional parks, or work with other departments like DOT or PATH, for example, to work on the implementation of plans and improvements of sidewalks, trails, and bikes throughout the city. The department plans to continue to strengthen and expand partnerships to improve service delivery that will either complement what exists or fill gaps where residents' needs are not being met. These partnerships could be with schools, other nonprofits, or third-party vendors, for example. We'll also continue working with other city departments to maximize taxpayer investment. Parks are a huge part of urban livability and quality of life, so we want to highlight all the benefits they provide, not just for the folks who live here now, but also to attract future residents. Now let's talk about equitably growing. As the population grows, the parks and recreation system must grow along with it. As the system grows, the department will evaluate the way we've done things to ensure that practices pre-pandemic still apply in a post-pandemic world, and adapt as needed. So we're looking at what are those practices that Atlanta can be the first to do. One example is exploring the world of electronic sports. Electronic sports are the fastest growing programs in the country right now. There are colleges that are offering scholarships in electronic sports. It will be joining the 2024 Olympics, and it's even turning into a moneymaker with million-dollar prize competition. What we heard loud and clear from the community is that there is a desire for nature and environmental education and to have greater access to nature. These are interests that the project team has seen a lot of in urbanizing cities. So there will be a focus to partner and provide those programs. Other ways we could grow programs that are self-sustaining and revenue generating could include expanding concessions, special events, golf, tennis, picnic shelters, etc. DPR also wants to equitably grow places. You'll recall that the system needs to grow by 5,000 acres over the next 10 to 20 years to keep pace with the population growth. So key acquisitions and strategic locations will be looked at to bring more Atlantans within a 10-minute walk of a park. We know that residents want more access to nature, so the department will prioritize growth and expansion opportunities that will better connect residents to natural areas and experiences. With that, DPR is incorporating the recommendations from the Atlanta City Design Nature Study into the ActivateATL vision. This plan identified natural areas in the city that should be protected and, where appropriate, access provided. There will also be a need for more recreational facilities, playgrounds, courts, fields, etc. Now take a look at this map. The tan areas represent areas in the city that have access to green space within a half mile. Without going into much detail, this map proposes a vision for expanding parks and recreation facilities in the city. This vision suggests that we need at least 167 more parks, 10 more recreation centers, so residents in urban areas have access to a recreation center within 1 mile, access within 1.5 miles in urban neighborhoods, and within 2 miles of suburban neighborhoods. This vision also proposes providing more recreational amenities. For example, many more miles of trails, 10 more gyms, 46 multi-purpose fields for soccer and football, 8 outdoor swimming pools, 194 playgrounds, 7 dog parks, 54 tennis courts, and the list goes on. So, how do we ensure that staffing continues to reflect changing needs? Inclusion is a critical aspect. The department would like to add equity officers, bringing on more data analysts to determine which programs are successful or where more or different programs are needed, and build out a marketing and communications team to ensure that residents know all about the great things happening in the parks and recreation system. DPR will also continue to strengthen its internal culture and hire and train for excellence as directed by One Atlanta, which is the Mayor's Office of Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. And we need to increase maintenance and operation resources to expand our capacity to maintain parks, improve our natural areas, and ensure that parks meet established standards. As implementation progresses, the department will continue to collaborate with partners to address the intersectionality of issues. Safety and crime, blight, homelessness, and affordable housing were issues that Atlantans told us they were concerned about. To address safety and crime, the department will continue to make improvements in park and recreation centers to increase positive activities in parks. The department will also look to add elements to enhance safety and security within our parks. We'll also look for opportunities to increase programming, even programs that go late into the night, and work with partners to actively engage in parks to help all Atlantans stay active, engaged, and safe. We'll also look to continue to design future parks and recreation centers with crime prevention best practices in mind. To help address blight, DPR is going to make sure that parks set the example for how properties should be maintained in blighted areas. For homelessness, we will look at coordinating partnerships like those providing health and human services to help the unhoused in our parks. And for affordable housing, we'll work with partners and city departments to coordinate the development of affordable housing near parks. Now, these challenges can't be taken on by DPR alone. It will depend on partnerships and working across departments in the city to successfully address them. And so there you have it, our vision for ActivateATL. We know it was a lot of information, and we look forward to hearing from you and you giving your feedback on all of this now. Don't forget, if you have any questions at all, please send them our way using the Zoom Q&A box, Facebook, or email us at activate-atl@atlantagaga.gov. We'll address them in our live Q&A session happening soon. Let's start our discussion about the vision with a simple polling question here. In one word, what about this draft makes you most excited? Is there anything that stands out to you? Send us your thoughts now. Try to stick to one word, but if you use more than one word, connect them using a dash. Connectivity, yes. Equity. More green space, yes. Connection, outreach. Outreach is very important. Again, equity, your equity. Maintenance, maintenance is important. Holistic, accessible, yes. Ambassadors, yes. Equity, we just keep hearing equity. I love to hear that. Sustainable facilities, more green space. Hiring, I see that. Awareness. I love these word clouds. Fields and parks. Children's activities, I guess. Socially consciousness, I guess. Aspirational. Okay, connection. Trips, field trips. I see field trips. Okay. We just love seeing all of these exciting things up on the screen. Ooh, more answers. Okay. Seniors. Okay, like to hear that we're including seniors. How could we not move forward without our seniors? Transportation, very important. Accessibility to our parks, very important. So thank you for your answers. We are recording them, and we will definitely incorporate them into our plans here. But now let's think a little deeper into what you think about the draft presentation we presented. I want to give you an opportunity to review everything we've discussed. We know it was a lot. Here's a slide that shows our vision for equitably investing, connecting, and growing our programs. I'm going to leave this up for a few minutes for your review. Again, our 10 core programs. How we will focus on our programs. Okay. Thank you. Now here is our vision for equitably investing, connecting, and growing our places. All right, now the final recap slide. Our draft vision about how we will equitably invest, connect, and grow with our people. And I'll leave this up for a few moments. Okay. Now that you've seen the draft plan and the overall summary is fresh in your minds, we want to hear your thoughts. Send us your open-ended comments on everything you've heard so far. What are your thoughts on the overall vision we've described here? What do you want to see us expand first? Is there anything that's missing? Please share with us. Just like before, you can send us your short answer response through Poll Everywhere in your browser or by text messaging us. Would you prefer to review these materials further and send your feedback to us later? You can always view the presentations that we have here on the findings page of our project website at www.activate-atl.com. Review at your convenience and then email us, message us through our Happy Feet app, or use our website comment box, whatever works best for you. We want to hear from you. Oh, I missed a few, but we'll go back. Glad to see investment in communications and awareness. Absolutely. Exciting. Would love more access to compost and urban agriculture. Compost is a theme here. Ambitious but optimistic. Thank you. Okay. Ditto on creating more awareness of what the city already offers. Innovative. Would love to see a big focus on sustainability. Great works by the team. It's very aspirational, so hopefully we can see it come to fruition. Yes, absolutely. Implementation is important. Do we need a dedicated funding for parks? Spaces can have multiple uses as hiking and biking opposite directions with gardens in between. Oh, good question. Is the city and other department council on board? more play for kids. Absolutely, play is very important for kids and adults. The goals align and work towards the overall vision. Let's see, please include customer satisfaction on parks and aquatics going forward. Absolutely. Okay. Wow, this has been helpful. We thank you for helping to define the Atlanta you want to see. We're almost done. Let's just quickly discuss a few things about our next steps. Oh, we have more answers. Again, we are recording, but I'm going to pass it over to Sabina Kasimova to tell us about the next steps.
Thank you, Tara. And thank you again so much to everyone who submitted feedback. It makes all the difference in this process. Your input will help us make changes as we work towards finalizing the vision and the overall plan. Before we wrap, we want to share something that we are super excited about. The department has been working with the urban planning team at Bloomberg Associates to develop a Parks and Recreation equity dashboard tool to be a part of ActivateATL. This dashboard is an interactive public-facing tool that will evaluate community and park needs and identify neighborhoods with the greatest need for park investment and capital improvements, and ultimately to track and evaluate the impact of the department's efforts over time. Part of the idea here also is to advance health equity across the city and minimize neighborhood disparities through parks and recreation. Because, as many of you know, it's been scientifically proven that living near or having easy access to a park or natural area is actually great for your health. The dashboard is being developed with insights from the CDC and other peer cities that have adopted a similar park equity lens, like Raleigh, Miami, and Minneapolis. This will be an invaluable tool for advancing equity throughout Atlanta, using data to pinpoint where to invest. We are so excited about this innovative and informative dashboard, and we hope you are too. So in terms of next steps, the project team will review all the feedback that we heard from you today and in our other public meetings and focus groups, and we're considerate as we're working to finalize the plan. And the final plan will be presented to Atlanta City Council for adoption sometime this summer. While this is our final virtual public meeting in English, we do have another session on Thursday that's actually in all Spanish, because we definitely want to be inclusive of our Latinx community and our Spanish speakers. So if you have any friends, family, neighbors that speak Spanish, please help us spread the word and let them know about Thursday's virtual public meeting in all Spanish at 6:30 p.m. And don't forget, if you missed and want to rewatch any of the recordings of previous virtual public meetings, they're all available on the ActivateATL YouTube channel and also on our project website, activate-atl.com. If you have any questions or comments, you can reach out to the project team members listed here. And we hope you will sign up for that monthly e-newsletter we mentioned to help you stay connected and updated with all developments and dates as the plan makes its way to council. Just visit our project website, activate-atl.com. There are a ton of resources there. And if you're looking for a copy of this presentation, just click on the Findings tab. And now I will pass it back to Tara to get us started on our live Q&A session.
Thanks, Sabina. If you haven't sent us your questions yet, please do so now. You can send us the messages, and I'm going to say it again, in the Zoom chat, comment on Facebook, or use our website comment box and email us at activate-atl@atlantagA.gov or our Happy Feet app. We have a lot of folks that really like the Happy Feet app. So thanks again for helping us to activate ATL. Recreation and Parks for All means hearing from all. Your voice matters. With that, let's get started with our live Q&A. And I will be joined here with Commissioner Dargle, Deputy Commissioner Dodson, and Kristen Caborn, our consultant. So let's see what our first question is. We're gonna try and make sure that we get through all the questions, but again, if we end the session today and you haven't heard your question answered, please email us at activateatl@atlantagA.gov. Certainly try to answer your question. So moving into the first question, this is a question for the Commissioner Dargle. Forestry is a critical component in Parks and Recreation's strategy. Is there an increased prioritization of urban canopy? What investments will be made for increasing manpower training, maintenance to care for Atlanta's forests in the parks? And then also a part of that is, can we go into Lake Charlotte, for example?
Well, thanks, Tara. So we've obviously been faced with several major hurricanes in the last several years that has affected obviously the canopy, and continuing to invest in our forestry is a great example of a strategy moving forward to dedicate the resources that we need to continue, being that city in the trees, cities in the forest. And obviously Lake Charlotte is a good example where we were able to use
Yeah, I'll jump in here. We were able to use some tree trust funds to be able to acquire that land. One of the things that people, I don't think they may understand, is that not only are we responsible for trees that are within our parks, we're also responsible for all the trees in the right of way. And I think it would be remiss not to give a shout out to Doug Voss, Director of Parks, and Jeff Stanley, Forestry Crew Chief, because like we said, they do a yeoman's job. Just this past year, a few months ago when Zeta came through, we had over 500 trees that came down. And within 2 weeks, they cleared up all those trees. And a lot of times we are called on before the first responders because we have to go in and clear the trees before the first responders can even get in there. So they do a yeoman's job. The other aspect that is a little challenging there is this is a specialized skill set to be able to climb a tree and cut it down safely. And I know just like today with the weather being the way it is, I was watching very closely, just like a lot of our other colleagues, because whenever we have inclement weather and things like this, we know we're going to have an increase of tree damage. And so the team is prepared to do that. But going forward, we're continuing to try to find out how to acquire more crews and to keep them around, because just being brutally honest, once we train them, they have a specialized skill sets, and then other groups come in and swoop them up from us. So we're continuing to move forward in that effort. And like I said, it'll be an ongoing challenge. And I believe the master plan will give us a little bit more strategic direction on that.
Yeah. Thank you, Commissioner and Deputy Commissioner. And I saw someone in the chat box regarding your comments on the skilled trade of climbing trees and forestry. Gravity hurts. So we certainly appreciate all that Doug and our forestry folks do. And so with that, let me ask you a follow-up question, Alvin. From Frederick Bien on Facebook. What is the planned budget for land acquisition this plan?
Good morning, Frederick. Good to hear from you again. Just like everything else, we're basically gathering information and analysis to figure out what the cost of this overall comprehensive plan will be. And one of the key costs is going to be acquisitions. At this point in time, we don't have a definitive number or price in place, but just based upon what was said earlier, we need to increase 5,000 acres over the next 10 to 20 years. So that's going to be a pretty large number, like I said, and we look forward to actually having a more specified number. But once again, it comes down to where that land is. I mean, land is a different price in different areas and where we can acquire that land. But I would say it's going to be a very large number, Frederick, a very large number.
Yeah, okay. One more question, Commissioner Dodson. Any plans for renovations at Pittman Park?
Yes, as we're looking into the master plan, there's a lot of things that are going in part of the assessment, and we're taking, like I said, a very strategic approach to all of the things that are needed and assessments that are going on in our different facilities. And I know Pittman Park, there's a lot of discussion, internal discussion, and moving forward on getting some things done. So overall, the answer is yes, there will be some things taking place in Pittman Park, but also be some things taking place throughout our inventory as we determine what is needed. And once again, going towards an equity issue. So thank you for that question.
Thank you for that answer. Commissioner Dargle from Intisar Rashid on Zoom. Will plans include professional dance studio space for the community?
Well, that's getting a little, taking a deep dive into each one of our rec centers. And I think that one of the strategies of the plan will look at each one of our rec centers, obviously the condition assessment, and if they're meeting the community needs. And we do have some dance space throughout the system, and whether or not we need to make those improvements will come out of this plan. And then taking a deeper dive about creating a business plan for our rec centers moving forward so that we can meet those community needs. I think that, there's a continuous question about how we're going to be able to do this. Well, again, we can't do this alone. We have to rely on the whole community, the philanthropic community, the Parks and Recreation Department, and other departments, third-party vendors to assist us in meeting some of these strategic goals.
Okay, and thank you. Commissioner, Eric on Facebook would like to know, would you consider partnering with local farmers to implement farm-to-table programs, teach the youth and other citizens to grow their own food?
Yeah, thanks, Eric. I appreciate that question. We do have a couple of places within the city of Atlanta, both in Parks and Recreation facilities, as well as through our One Atlanta office, the Urban Ag program at the city of Atlanta. But if you'd like to know more, Eric, I'd be happy to connect you to our staff with some of the urban farming opportunities that you're thinking about. But I think we much like looking at our parks in the desert park spaces, we have to look at ways that we can provide a food forest. There's food deserts out there, so how can we reposition Parks and Recreation to meet that challenge and providing more urban farming? So we do it through the city's One Atlanta office. We have an urban ag program, and then through our park operations. So I'd be happy to address additional information or connect you, Eric, with those staff that can look at what you're offering.
Okay, thank you. Deputy Commissioner Dodson, how is Proctor Creek cleanliness part of park systems around the West Side Park?
I see this question came from Myrna. Good question, Myrna. One of the things in the past, whenever a park or any development was developed, you normally just have pipes that would just run water off-site back into the creek. One of the things that we've done out at West Side Park is we have a series of substrates that, dealing with the hydrology, it allows the water to be naturally filtered through natural mechanisms and means. And as the water is entering back into Proctor Creek, it's a little bit cleaner than it was when it originated at the top of that watershed. So that was definitely a prearranged thought process that went into this thing. And one of the things when the park is finally opened in late late spring, early summer. That's one of the things people won't even notice because it is such a natural flow that the water is going to run through the natural filtration systems and the substrates that are out there. So thank you for your question, Myrna.
Yes. Thank you. Commissioner, what are you planning that will update the skill sets within skilled services to address facilities of the future? Hopefully including sustainable, smart technologies and conservation best practices, and ensure all Atlantans can access these jobs of the future.
Yeah, that's a good question. Obviously, our first priority is with investing in our people, and really starting and the starting point is baselining what skill sets we have out there, and if we need to provide additional training, working with other city departments, especially with our IT department or AIM department as well, to provide those technological classes and workshops, we will do that. So really is to evaluate across the agency what skills are out there, what additional skills and certifications and educational opportunities that we could provide to continue to invest in our people. I think that's important. In addition to succession planning, as our staff retire out, we have to have an influx of new staff that could fill those positions, and we hope to grow our people within the system, along with growing our facilities and programs that meet today and tomorrow's future. So that will require additional skills, training, relying on other city departments and staff to be willing to take the initiative and learn and grow.
Thank you. Here's a question for Kristen Caborn of GAI Consultants, our consulting lead. Have you gotten input on specific parks that are managed by organizations that have contracts with the City of Atlanta?
Yes, Tara, thank you. This is a really great question because it gives us the opportunity to talk about how deep our public input process has been, not only with the virtual public meetings that we had last summer, but with what we're doing now. But we also have very specific outreach. We mentioned earlier in the presentation that we've reviewed all of the existing plans. There have been some great planning efforts that have been done in the past by the city partners that speak to individual parks. But also through this process, we have focus groups where we are meeting specifically with the city's many partners and special interest groups that work with the city on maintaining, operating, providing programming at each park. So we're hearing from them individually in smaller settings to make sure that we have their input and can remain strong partners in implementing this plan when we're done.
Thank you. And I'd like to ask you another question. Question from Melanie on Zoom. How do you plan to ensure continued equal access to long-term residents of highly ventured neighborhoods?
Yes, absolutely. And I'm taking ventured might have meant gentrified, and having some concern about gentrification in those neighborhoods. Please send a follow-up question if we're not taking that and I don't answer your question completely. But I do want to talk a little bit about going back to our guiding principles. And you've heard equity, equity, equity quite a bit in this presentation, but that is not something that we're just giving lip service to. We are really thinking long and hard about how to activate ATL, and the Department of Parks and Recreation is only as strong as its most loved, most well used, and most ready for renovation park in the system. So ensuring that equity is into the plan and is actually happen once we turn over the report is very, very important. So I reached out to Bloomberg. You saw Sabina presented at the end of the presentation, the equity dashboard that the nonprofit Bloomberg Associates has been working on with the city. And that's something that's going to further make sure that, again, once it's done, that we're implementing actually with equity. So I'm going to just give you a real quick overview of some of what the equity dashboard does. And I am going to read this because it's got some really important points in it. Can you guess what is the single greatest predictor of life expectancy in the United States today? And this is going to be your aha moment. It's zip code. Because of neighborhood disparities, babies born just miles apart in Atlanta face up to a 12-year difference in life expectancy. Atlanta's Parks and Recreation Department is well aware of this fact and is committed to improving access to nature and green spaces while providing safe places to bike, walk, and exercise. Improving health equity citywide is a critical piece of our master plan that we've been talking about during this long presentation, and we thank you all so much for hanging on through the end. Because of that, we've created the first of its kind Park and Recreation Equity Dashboard that Sabina showed you and was very obvious in that dashboard where there are some equity challenges to overcome in implementation. This measures and maps neighborhood health determinants, park quality, and health outcomes. Our dashboard will collect this data across Atlanta and establish a parks needs score to drive decision-making about what neighborhoods to invest in, what Department of Parks and Recreation strategies will have the greatest positive impact on health and equity outcome. Again, that's getting to the implementation piece. Where are we putting our money first in the areas that need it the most? We hope that the additional agencies will adopt a similar approach in creating healthy, safe neighborhoods for all Atlantans. If so, then together we truly can activate ATL and deliver on the dream of one Atlanta that Mayor Bottoms has put forth. An Atlanta where we all have equal opportunity to live longer, healthier, and happier. So hopefully that answered your question. And we really want to make sure that everybody understands that is the single most important thing as this plan moves forward into the implementation phase in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Kristen. Yes, equity is so very important to this whole process. We've talked about it throughout from the beginning of this plan. So please know that we are looking at all of the recommendations and reflecting on how they address equity in our system. I would like to ask Commissioner Dargle. We have a question from Daryl. And in general, he's concerned about youth programs. You know, our youth have really been through quite a bit through this pandemic. You know, should they go to school? Should they not go to school? You know, where can they get their get out and do things? Can you talk a little bit about youth programming?
Sure, and that's what we're all about. Our programs and recreation, from our summer camp programs to our Atlanta Teen Leaders Academy program, is a very robust program to build a new generation of Atlanta's leaders. And I'm happy to announce that the mayor has hired on the first youth engagement officer that will work alongside us and other departments to look at how we can help those youth and teens get more involved in workforce development, health and wellness, financial literacy, and so much more. And so we've also got small learning pods that we've offered at 17 different locations throughout our system, where we're ensuring that the teens are provided an opportunity to support them during this pandemic.
Okay, thank you. We have a question from Myrna about how we're getting feedback from people outside of Facebook and Zoom. And so with that, I would like to just ask Sabina Kasimova from Park Pride to just give us a little overview of all the things that we've been working on since May of last year.
Awesome. Thank you, Tara, and thank you for that great question, Myrna. Was really a critical part of our public engagement strategy, especially in this post-pandemic world. Obviously, before we could all come face to face, and anybody, all you had to do was walk through a door at a recreation center to participate and be at this public meeting. So definitely challenging in this new virtual life, but we wanted to make sure that nobody was left out. So specific to submitting feedback, with all of our virtual public meetings, they are dial-in accessible. So you could just use any standard flip phone to call in and listen. And that's why we're so excited about our text message polling too. So just from a standard flip phone, you can text in your feedback, you can dial in to listen. So that's in terms of submitting feedback. But for outreach in phase one, we also had a statistically valid survey where we direct mailed surveys to City of Atlanta residents at random. We also really wanted to focus on outreach in the streets. So we would have lawn signs in parks, flyers in park kiosks. We direct mailed postcards about ActivateATL to a lot of City of Atlanta residents. We also partnered with 311 to post about ActivateATL on the pedestrian friendly SUFA signs. So really just making sure that if you're in a park, you're able to find out about ActivateATL. So a big part of our campaign. And also just talking to the public where we are as we would distribute those signs, making sure if anyone was around, letting them know that we were so excited about what was happening. And Happy Feet as well, really just continuing to promote that. And also doing our focus groups was a big part of that. So always dial and accessible. You don't necessarily need Zoom or Facebook to participate. You can call in to talk to us. And I'll say that the other big thing that we did was wanting to make sure that our unhoused community was also represented in this plan. So we partnered with Red Shield Services to distribute paper surveys to a shelter that's downtown. So a combination of all of these different methods and more, we really worked to make sure that no matter whether you're calling in, whether you're on the street, you can find out about ActivateATL and you can reach us because we want to hear from you. So thank you for that great question.
Thank you, and of course, I don't think you mentioned our little contest that we had, where we gave out 100 shirts and frisbees and water bottles to people that were giving us information on the Facebook page and email comments. I think we've made quite an effort. I think unprecedented. Given the circumstances that we've all been under with COVID. So thank you for sharing that. Let's see, I was gonna say one other thing to Sabina. Something else we've done, but I'll come back to it. I'd like to ask Deputy Commissioner Dodson to tell us about maintenance. Can you talk about maintenance, upkeep, and providing a safe environment for families once these capital improvements are completed? What's the purpose of all the improvements if we don't maintain the place as well?
I think this question came from Kareem. Excellent question, Kareem. Good morning. How are you doing today? As we're bringing on these assets, one of the things that we're really taking into consideration is the maintenance and the upkeep. So that is definitely part of the strategic plan of when we develop things. Just going back to the Martin Luther King Recreation and Aquatic Center, we brought that online 3 years ago. We've continued to maintain that. Also, as we're designing and constructing a lot of these projects, we're doing it with septic in mind, which basically means we have lines of sight. We're basically doing the right security measures, cameras, and other deterrents. And the one key thing is, as long as the asset is used in its proper fashion, maintenance, we definitely have maintenance under control. One of the things we found out, though, is that a lot of our, well, I won't say a lot, but some of our facilities are being used for not the designed issue. One of the things is like skateboarding. Skateboarders are, damaging different things. So we're coming back and we're going to put in some issues that are going to disrupt that type of activity. And like I said, this makes perfectly good sense. It makes no sense to build anything or take anything if you can't maintain it. So that has definitely been an effort. We're currently working with our contractors to make sure there's a maintenance plan in place when they finish. And then one of the other things that we're going to do, and we have always tried to do, is include that in our budget to make sure as our asset grows that we have more dollars to maintain, upkeep, and keep these things safe and clean and usable for the community as it moves into our assets. So that's, thank you again, Kareem, for that question. And I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, let me add something to that as well. Like Alvin said, is that's typically the first question we ask ourselves when we rally our team together is how are we going to maintain and operate anything new or any new investments or acquisitions. And we look within our own operating budget, obviously, and share that with Park Pride and others, our friends groups, collaborative effort to see if not only can we take care of it, but can we rely and collaborate with others on that? So that's going to be an important piece to this plan to implement it is through partnerships.
And just to add to that, John, that's one of the reasons why restrooms come up so much. Bathrooms, 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 and people don't understand that is a maintenance and upkeep nightmare. And that was pre-pandemic. I'm not sure what it'll be post-pandemic, but we noticed and we understood and we've taken that advisement, everyone saying restrooms, 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 but they create a different maintenance challenge all within themselves.
Okay, thank you. I would just like to ask the commissioner again, when we go back to the beginning of this presentation about, what is it that we're doing? What is a master plan?
Well, this comprehensive Parks and Recreation master plan is sort of in the hierarchy of plans. You have the Department of City Planning that develops a comprehensive development plan, and then each department should look at developing a comprehensive master plan within that umbrella of a comprehensive development plan. So this master plan for us is really in response to the growth and the anticipated growth of the city in response to the comprehensive development plan that the city planning is working on a new one. Every 5 years they work on a new one. We want to prepare ourselves both operationally, strategically, tactically, politically for the next 10 years. So this master plan will look at the system comprehensively, not only about parkland, but also about our services and programs, how we are maintaining and operating our facilities. Are we meeting community needs? Do we have the staffing and administration wherewithal to manage and operate the system as it continues to grow? So this comprehensive plan looks at everything, nuts and bolts of the system, in anticipation of the growth. Now, first, as I said, is the comprehensive development plan. Then we've got our comprehensive Parks and Recreation master plan, and then we'll do our 5-year strategic plan in response to that 10-year master plan. And that's typically a 3 to 5 year plan. And then the hierarchy continues down to each one of our divisions and our operating staff where they'll do their work plans. That's sort of that hierarchy, a rippling effect of each one of these master plans. So again, then you develop site plans. So it goes down to the individual park site plans, master plans for those particular sites. But this particular master plan that we're looking at looks at the entire agency and how we're adequately and appropriately responding to the needs of the community in the future.
Hey, thank you. With that, I want to just thank everyone for submitting these great questions. We will definitely continue to deliberate over them over the next few weeks. So please don't forget, even when we close today, you'll be able to email us at activateatl@atlantagA.gov. And yes, that goes to a human. That human is me and Sabina. We answer the questions. So please know that, again, activateatl@atlantagA.gov. We'll answer your questions. Now, if you want to rewatch the virtual public meeting or any of the others that we've done, either in the second wave of public engagement or the first wave of public engagement, which we started with our 12 meetings back in June, you can access them at activate-atl.com, which is our website, or you can go to our YouTube channel. Your opinion today will help define the next 10 years of Atlanta's parks and recreations. We want to thank you. First, I want to thank all the folks on the call today. Thank you for answering questions, and thank you for helping us get the word out about what we're doing here. And then most of all, I want to thank all of you that took time out today in the middle of the day to be with us today. Don't forget to tell your friends. This is the last effort that we're doing in English, but we will still have our meeting on Thursday at 6:30 p.m. In Spanish. And we definitely want people to know that as we talk about equity, we want them on the front end of the conversation. So please do that. And again, if they're not able to join at 6:30 on Thursday, again, I'm going to say it one last time, ActivateATL, Activate-ATL at atlantagA.gov. That is the email address. The website is www.activate-atl.com. Thank you and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you.
Be safe, everyone.
Thank you all. Stay well.